Hello, you're listening to Me and Paranormal You with your host, Ryan Singer. Because it's more fun to believe.
And there it is. Welcome to the program. You're wondering what it is. And if you are wondering that, that's a very good question. Maybe we'll answer that by the end of today's program. My name is Ryan Singer. Thank you for listening to Me and Paranormal You. I'm excited today because this is the first time Bingo's been on, right?
Yes.
Old-time collaborator, friend, comrade.
Oh, yeah.
Confidant.
All the C's.
All the C's.
All the C's.
All the C's. We had a good time the other night going to see Matthew Shelton, Flex Your Love Muscles, play a show. I mean, just goddamn, what a good.
I often think about in my life, who would be a wizard in a fantasy world? He'd be the coolest wizard. He wouldn't have to do anything to his whole look. He would just have to wear like a brown. He wouldn't have anything fancy with like the moons and stars and the royal blue. He'd have a modest brown robe, maybe a hood, maybe not. He would never wear it.
All glow, no show.
All glow, no show. And he would do the best stuff, and he would have a familiar, and it would just be a little brown bird. Just a little bird.
It also might be a cat. He's got this cat.
Oh, that's true.
They have this cat.
Oh, that's
and
true.
This cat is pretty remarkable, cat they have. But I could also see a bird.
How about a cat at home when he's on the field? He has a bird.
Yeah. When they come back, the cat's like, I've read some more interesting ancient grimoires that I've uncovered.
Yeah.
Oh, have you? Yes, you'll be interested to know this. It just happens to tie in exactly to what we're working on.
Oh, forsooth. That's not how he talks, but he would, because it's fantasy. He'd be like, forsooth.
Yes.
He's a very deep voice.
He has a deep register.
Deepest register I've ever seen. My God, I bet he has, it's such a deep register.
How deep is it?
I bet it's such a deep register. He has plenty of room for high value bills, and he doesn't even have to get change until the end of the night. A little bit of retail humor there for you, everybody.
At the home of the National Cash Register. The cash register was invented here in Dayton,
Thank God for that.
And then the stimulus package in 2008 happened, and Georgia took NCR with stimulus money. So thank you, federal government, for making Ohio lose thousands of jobs. I don't know if it was thousands.
Millions. And I think, honestly, I'd like to know how much the government's hand was in the whole, like, Cheez-It, which was invented in Dayton, Ohio.
I didn't know that Cheez-It was invented here.
Know it, brother. And now, where is it now? Where's Cheez-It, mother? That's what I say constantly.
Where is Cheez-It, mother?
And who knows what kind of filthy... feds got.
Yeah, the feds.
I'm not.
You know what's interesting?
Fine. Who cares? I like them.
Well, my aunt was just opining. I think that's the word.
I love that.
About how Dayton used to be one of the most innovative cities in the country.
I don't know if you knew this. There was actually several bicycles were made here.
Bicycles?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Nothing else. But several bicycles and the cash register and Cheez-It.
And the ice cube tray.
And is that true? Oh, and the phrase invented the pop top.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Well, because the ice
pop
there's that weird abstract art sculpture on like Jefferson or something downtown
the dinosaur spine
by Old Canal Street.
Mm-hmm.
That is, well, no, there's one it's an ice cube. It's a representation of the ice cube tray.
Oh, is that real?
Yeah.
Oh,
there's an ice cube tray sculpture down there. I know
what you're talking about. It's
And Charles Kettering invented the air conditioning.
Oh, my God.
Ushering in the age of global warming for all of us.
And we love him for it. Thank you.
And that's why I told my parents, I'm like, I want to live in Kettering.
Yeah.
And they said, listen to the child.
And
so I lived in Kettering for a bit.
I love
that.
Thank God for that.
Yeah. So what? We didn't really talk about what we were going to talk about necessarily. But
here's the thing. We both have a history, apologetically, in improv. So we're going to roll with this. We're going to yes and until we hit 60 minutes.
Not apologetically where I come from.
Well, I am ashamed of my past.
I think about our live shows. And when I say live shows, I mean, live for people in the audience. But what specifically I mean is the last Sunday of every month, live television improv shows.
Oh.
because our shows were live.
Oh, that's
on
true.
television.
Oh, yeah,
once
they
a
were.
month.
They were absolutely live.
And it was the only. I think we were the only show at the time that the Miami Valley Cable Council, which is now something else, right?
Miami Valley Communications Council. So
Oh, okay.
they really.
Yeah,
They're
like, we got to update this cable shit because everyone's cutting the cord.
Yeah, but all of our business cards still just say MVCC, so let's not change it too much.
Not too much.
Yeah.
But they would put a disclaimer.
Yeah.
This is a live program.
Yes.
There may be adult language that happens.
And there was.
We would I think we dropped F-bombs on there.
Yeah, because it's not governed by the FCC. Talking more about these government narcs trying to fuck up our poop. And so you can say whatever you wanted to on there.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
By the way, should I have taken my shoes off? I'm just now.
Who gives a dang?
I mean, I'm a shoes off inside kind of guy.
It is a gorgeous rug.
It is a gorgeous rug.
It's very colorful. But no, you don't have to. That's not
okay.
good audio. It's a visual. This is not a visual.
Yeah.
But imagine the best rug.
Okay.
Listeners.
It is. I mean, it's almost like a psychedelic rainbow.
It's a lot
was
like
put into a cage. And I'm not trying to say that your carpet's been caged, but it's been like conform. And then it's like, I'll conform a little bit, but not too much.
Not too much.
Yeah.
No, it is very much like that. You can step on it with whatever you want.
Okay. So anybody out there listening ever shows up at bingos, bring some snowshoes.
You should.
See what happens.
I will be so excited to see such a shoe. To see such a shoe in my home.
Well, here's one thing I know for certain. We both have an interest, and you and I, obviously we're big fans of Matthew Shelton, but also other paranormal programs seem to resonate with you. The same ones that resonate with me for the most part. You do have a deep interest, yet remain skeptical.
Yes, and I'm not even one of those skeptics who are like, oh, this guy, he's seen like 100 ghosts and some UFOs, but he's pretty much a skeptic. Like, I'm absolutely like, even the shit I've seen, I'm like, nope. I don't even believe my own dumb eyes. That could have been anything.
Well, let's talk about that.
Okay.
What have your dumb eyes seen?
Oh, brother, let me tell you the things I've seen. I only have a handful, but I guess it's more than most, right?
Well, when most people sit and think about it, they might come up with a few over time, but because a lot of people are like, oh, nothing ever weird or paranormal's ever happened to me, except for that one time my grandma kept showing up after she was dead and serving us eggs.
Yeah, and my little baby niece had stigmata for 6 weeks.
That was weird.
That was weird. Okay, well, I'll go first. And
first.
From there, I maybe have 4. Okay, and I don't know if this is.
You're maybe 4 years old?
No, I think. Oh, I maybe was 4 years old, and I think I only have 4 things to share.
Okay, 44. Love it.
Oh my God! So I may have been 4 years old, and I remember.
Let's pause for a commercial.
Yeah,
no, just kidding. Hello,
I like it.
Okay, no. So you're 4 years old,
4
maybe.
years old. 4 years old if I was a day, and and I lived in like okay, no one cares about Bellbrook, Ohio is a little tiny suburb of Dayton. It's actually further out from most of the other suburbs of Dayton. It was a rural area that started getting built up more, and then rich people moved in. So we were kind of on that like middle classy kind of like thing, in these little tiny starter homes, they'd call them, these little brick buildings, little brick ranches built in the 70s, I think, peppered out throughout this little thing. And they had these little like plats and cul-de-sac, and that's how you say it. Apparently, it's not cul-de-sacs, it's cul-de-sac.
Cul-de-sac.
I think that's right.
So you were living on a cul-de-sac.
It was it was more of a plat.
Okay.
Anyway, but I was living in this little house, and I remember this so vividly. So I had Charlie Brown wallpaper, loved it to death, and I saw. Actually, there's 2 maybe I don't know if it was the same night or different nights. I don't remember. I think it might have been different nights. Now that I'm like actually thinking about this, I'm really burying the L here, the lead. So I saw a shadow hand on my wall moving around, which was fucked up. What in my hand? I slept alone. I was a little kid. That was weird. And then I saw another, like, after that, not the same night, I don't think, might have been, a silhouette of these little neighborhoods, so many streetlights you'd think you're on the surface of the sun. So many streetlights. But I saw a absence of color shadow silhouette. It was this summer. I was sleeping. The window was open, and I saw a silhouette of something, of a man, of a human, or some sort of humanoid form pop up, pop down
in the window
opening. That could have just been a creeper. That could have been anything, but it really didn't. I feel like I would have seen something. And I was a little kid. I had a nightlight, specifically a Scrappy Doo nightlight that projected onto the ceiling a wonderful image of Scrappy Doo, who I deeply love. I think he's great. I think people that...
And everybody who knows Scrappy Doo he's not to be messed with.
No, you can't do that. He has puppy power. He's the only brave one in there, Fred, I guess. But that's overconfidence. He comes from a very privileged family. But Scrappy Doo, nightlight. So I had nightlights going on because I was scared of the dark, and then I saw a shadowy hand, and then another time
I'm curious how long, if you can recall, the duration of the shadow hand and what was it doing and what kind of movements was it making? It
was seriously making. If you just noticed that your hand was casting a cool shadow on the wall, it was making all of the gestures your hand would do. So it's like, whoa, cool. Imagine if in a movie where a ghostie is given human corporeal form and he's like testing out his hand. He's like, oh, dope hand. And he's like moving his fingers. It looked like that. But and I don't know how it was for not that long because I totally closed my eyes, went under the covers, like
that's interesting.
Turtle mode.
And this brings me to like a thought that I've had recently that I don't think I've ever, properly expressed. For the longest time, when I was thinking about shadow people or shadow things, right, entities, and people would be telling stories, for some reason, maybe because of the word shadow, I always had this idea that the shadow person was not the person itself, but it was their shadow. There was an entity that was casting a shadow, right? And then I was like, well, why am I thinking that? No, the shadow is the thing.
That's right? What I would assume.
So I've recently come around to the idea of like, the shadow is the thing here. It's not a thing casting a shadow.
Yeah.
From a light source, because sometimes you'll hear stories of like being in the dark and there's a shadow. There's something darker than the dark.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious if anyone else has ever like thought of it that way. But it's the shadow, which is an interesting. It's an interesting idea that the shadow that one casts in their waking life or in their living life, right, blocking the light, is at some point potentially that thing, that shadow that we all have, becomes its own thing.
Well, I mean, it's
potentially
Peter Pan. That's in Peter Pan. Peter Pan had his own shadow.
That's right. And his shadow started like
being more mischievous than Peter Pan was. I mean, Peter Pan was quite a scamp, if you remember right. The Scrappy Doo of old timey literature, they say. Peter Pan. No, that's totally a thing.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Link of the Shadow Link, the end boss of Legend of Zelda 2, Link's adventure. Adventure of Link.
We've been fascinated with shadow people, shadow entities, shadow kind.
Well, they're doppelgangers, right? If it's your own shadow given its own sentience and it's the darker half of you or some sort of like nether shade version through the veil kind of looking glass shit, then it's probably a little more fucked up and has different intentions than what you want.
Yeah, and I think and you hear a lot in like the spiritual world and the woo-woo world, working on your shadow self. And there's I've done this joke maybe 2 or 3 times ever, but sometimes I'll get up and on stage and I'll start doing shadows. And I'll be like, my therapist said I need to do more shadow work. And then nobody gets it.
I don't get that.
And then I'll say, that joke would kill at a yoga conference. And then some people will laugh. Okay. Because it's like working on your shadow self.
Oh.
Doing more shadow work.
Oh, okay.
Confronting the darkness inside of you because it's inherent in all of us. It's the yin, the yang, all that. But when people try to really ignore and suppress their shadow, that's when it like comes out and it boils over.
That's
maybe,
why I
potentially.
don't. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't trust the smiley people who are being like overly positive. Because you're like, what the fuck are you hiding, homie? Like, what's going on there?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I know some people, will. I mean, I don't know. Some people, the very cynical world is always like, if you can be positive and happy in today's world, you're not paying attention.
Yeah,
And
I
then
mean, sure,
but then there's also like, too far on either side of the spectrum is probably unhealthy.
sure. Yeah, absolutely, it is.
But okay, so you saw a shadow hand, kind of like almost as if it was figuring out what it was.
Yeah, and that I definitely remember that was the first one. And then shortly, and I don't know when, and this is maybe related, or I'm just sharing childhood traumatic thoughts that are my own thing, which aren't really traumatic. Maybe not traumatic. That's overused. But like in that same era of like, these are like these are also my like my first memories, which is very weird. And another one of those memories, again, Charlie Brown wallpaper. I love him so much. I remember when I was being babysat by Rochelle, our babysitter. Again, I think it was like 4. It was around the same time I'm seeing shadow shit, is when I first had the idea that what happens if you die and nothing happens. And I lost my fucking mind on this poor woman, this poor teen who was like, I was just here to watch the weird kid. And I'm just like,
You're having an existential
I was having my
crisis.
very first existential crisis. And again, I don't know when this stuff happens. I think usually parents have the decency to indoctrinate their kids with bullshit religion and ruin them and make them afraid of their penises. Mine just didn't. They kind of lowballed that. We're just like, I don't know, we'll figure it out later. If he starts doing drugs, maybe we'll take him to church or something. But like, oh man, I lost it. So maybe during that, that opened myself up. Again, I don't believe any of this, but in theory, if we're playing in the
well, I'm sure it's connected. I mean, there's
right?
the imagination of a child, and then there's the idea too of seeing the humanoid figure pop up through the window.
Mm-hmm.
I had a similar thing happen to me when I was a kid, and it terrified me. And mine was a green thing. Right?
Oh,
and for the entirety of my life since, I've convinced myself I was all worked up already and I'm seeing things, right? Or just imagining that I saw something.
But how often do you see things in normal life? Like, it
Right?
doesn't happen a lot.
So, I'm curious though. After you see the humanoid figure pop up through the window in that space, what do you do?
I think I did this. I mean, I don't remember. I'm assuming I just did what I did the first time with the hand. I've just like closed my eyes and I'm like, this isn't happening. I mean, like complete
Close your eyes and
freeze
until you
mode.
fell asleep or something. Right?
Yeah. And it's amazing how like anytime you like experience like just regular everyday life, like you experience something super fucked up, you get in a car accident or something like that, or a family member dies or something just awful shit happens. It's amazing how easily sleep comes after something like that. So maybe it was like pumped myself full of adrenaline and then I'm like immediate crash afterward. I don't know. I don't know how any of this stuff works.
Yeah, it is interesting. When I burned my dad's garage down, when I was in like high school, I fell asleep very easily, waiting for him to come home. Just like there's nothing to do other than just like I was so stressed out with anxiety that I just collapsed.
It's like in Hereditary when the kid. Well, I don't want to ruin Hereditary, but there's something
that
happens. is and the kid's
that
able
movie,
to fall asleep.
That
worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I've seen it twice. I'll never watch it again. Too much.
You've seen it twice?
I did it twice.
I've seen it once, and I saw it with my buddy Dan Van Kirk, and I had a hard time driving home that night.
Yeah, it's awful. It's so stressful. It's so awful.
It is. It just bothers me when it's like, but why are you so bad? Like, why do you have to be so evil? Like, I mean, when there's people like character like that, I get upset. I'm like, but why? Why would you? Why would you do this? But anyway,
for money,
okay.
Right? Ultimately, I think that's all for Paimon is about cashola, dude. Riches. Getting that gold.
I'll tell you.
I would do anything for gold coins.
Right now, I'll tell you what. I thought I won the Powerball last night. I didn't. Nobody did. But it's up to $1.75 billion now.
Oh, my God.
So I guess we'll play again tomorrow. And if it doesn't hit, then I'm going to have to reconsider some life choices.
Yeah.
But I took out a $10,000 cash advance to buy tickets. Can you imagine if I did that? Like...
didn't even let that.
I didn't even let it. I didn't even let it.
I didn't even let it percolate. That's very funny.
Okay, so we've got the dancing shadow hand.
Yeah. Oh, real quick, I wanted to ask you, what do you mean green? Glowing green or just like green? And did it have a texture?
Yeah, it had a texture.
Had a texture. Okay.
Mine had a texture almost like, gosh, I want to say, it's like you would know the character's name, but it was like this character from like the 80s and 90s who kind of was like a fish man, but had like gills, but they looked like almost curtains dropping down from his face, like
Gillman, like
maybe it was Gillman,
creature from the Black Lagoon.
Maybe it was like it was kind of like the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Okay,
and so it was like
was
a darker.
it Merman? Was it Merman from Masters of the Universe?
Maybe it was, but it was like a darker green,
Okay.
but not as green, not like a forest green. Like you and I are both wearing a dark green right now, but it wasn't forest green, but it was a darker green. It wasn't like a bright green. And there was like a like a dark, almost like a blood red circle around the eyes.
So you saw features then.
Yeah, and it was just the face look, because it was we had a ranch. It was a brick ranch home. My brother and I shared a room.
Mm.
I was on the top bunk. He was on the bottom bunk, and with one of those tiny windows, right?
Yeah, this is all.
But it's not a basement, but there's still a tiny window for some reason.
Yeah.
Kind of up higher
Yeah.
on the wall. And although it seemed up higher on the wall, but now I'd probably walk in and be like, oh, that's just a normal, smaller window.
Yeah.
So it was more like a sideways rectangle.
That's the way ours were too.
Yeah. So it wasn't long. It was like landscape, not portrait, for the kids listening.
Yeah.
And there was a fucking face in the goddamn window, and it was at night. And I scream or whatever. I mean, because I would become terrified instantly when I was a kid, and I was always terrified as a kid.
Yeah.
If I saw something in a magazine, I would have a nightmare about that image later that night.
Gotcha.
And so eventually, I think I've kind of figured out a way to stop myself from remembering all of my dreams, right, over time, because they were always nightmares.
Mm.
And I was just my parents wouldn't, like, the babysitter wasn't allowed to let me watch the music video Thriller.
Oh, yeah.
And so finally I sneak and I convince, or I lie, cheat, and steal, or whatever I have to do to watch Thriller. And, of course, I have nightmares for like a week, right?
Yeah.
Because of it. So terrifying imagery was always so quickly and vividly absorbed by my mind.
Gotcha.
That my parents refused to let me. They tried to keep me from it actively. I remember one time I saw this terrifying picture of a creature that was in like one of those little TV Guide Showtime booklets that came in like the newspapers.
Yeah.
And I had nightmares about that thing for 3 days or whatever.
Yeah.
3 nights. But this was green and darker green, but it was also night.
Yeah.
Time, but yeah, that's all I really remember. I mean, could it have been a thing, or a creature, an entity of some kind? Sure, I guess. But I'm inclined to think that, it's less than 50% chance in my mind.
Sure.
And, I'm willing to be like, yeah.
Yeah.
But even I'm like, that was probably not a thing. But
or could it have been, in both of our instances, just some fucking creep peeping through windows, which is also so scary.
Which is scarier.
Well, yeah, because it's like,
in some way.
That's a tangible fucking thing. Yeah. Wild.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a quick break for real this time.
Yeah, a quick break.
And just a reminder, you can listen to all these experiences commercial free over at patreon.com/Ryan Singer. $3 a month gets you commercial free. Not to mention other updates and things like that. I will be doing a live stream from Poasttown Elementary School on October 25th. So that is just 2 weeks away. I will be doing a live stream to commemorate the 1-year anniversary of The Supernatural being out on YouTube. I will be there. My buddy Eric Connor is coming up to join me. And I don't know who else or what else might happen, but I will be live streaming on my Instagram, which is Rising. So make sure you follow Rising on Instagram. And because I'm going to be doing live stream paranormal investigation from Poasttown in just 2 weeks, October 25th, by the way. And also I'll be posting bonus footage and things like that over on the Patreon for the patrons and other stuff as well. So we'll be right back with my buddy Bingo. And we're back.
Hey.
People aren't going to believe what happened during that
Oh my
commercial.
God, I can't even believe it.
I mean,
Yeah.
a man's face popped up in the window over
Uh-huh.
here at the apartment, and it turns out it was our buddy Greg.
Yeah. He is very mad at us. We ate all of his Mallow cups. And he's mad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So okay, we've got I think one or two.
I guess I would say that's okay. I guess two, but I guess I would count
Two
it as
so far.
one.
Okay, we're talking about unexplainable, paranormal experiences,
Yeah,
even from a skeptic's perspective.
yeah. Okay, I guess the only other one of like real note. I guess I only have three. Two and a half. I don't know how long. I don't know how long we're going. But here's another one. You'll like this one. So here I was.
So here I was.
I was maybe in my, I'm maybe 18 or 19. And I was we were hanging, and I didn't go to like, I didn't really go to like college after high school because I didn't know what I was going to do. And I was like, I'm not going to fucking waste a bunch of money not knowing what I was going to. So I just kept working at places and getting fired all the time. It was great. And so I was hanging around these people. And my friend at the time, Corey, his name was Corey, he had long hair. And it was a handful of us, people I didn't really know very well. They were his friends. We were hanging around, and for whatever reason, we got up on his roof, and just to hang out on again. And this is another, if you can believe it, a brick ranch home.
Wow. Okay.
I know, really wild.
But I mean, I love a good roof hang when you're a kid.
Right, and I'd not done that before. I was never I didn't have access to roofs. How do you do that? A ladder? I don't know about that. So I went on this roof. And we're all hanging up there and just like laying on the roof and looking up at the stuff. And we see, and I've seen planes. I've seen planes acting weird. I've seen planes doing circular things, like they're searching for things or doing certain test runs. This is where we live by an Air Force base, so there's all kinds
Sometimes
of
you see
plane
the
stuff.
biggest plane you've ever seen in your entire
Yes.
life,
and it's like that
flying pretty low to the ground, and you're like,
Yeah.
geez, Lord.
Kim Trails, and she's my neighbor, Kim Trails. She's very nice. And I saw, and I can't. It's so hard to describe it, but then if I draw it, people understand what I'm talking about. But I'll try to explain it. And we all saw it. That's the weird part. Each, like, 4 of us on this roof all saw it and saw the same thing. It was pretend you have a boomerang.
Okay. So like a soft V.
No, get rid of that.
Okay.
Pretend you have a regular airplane,
Okay.
and then take away the middle part of the airplane, so you just have like a boomerang shape. So I guess you could have. Sorry, I could have kept boomerang. Now that I'm thinking about it, hold on. Okay, pretend you have a boomerang, and you know how there's like that there's a V part on the inside that goes up, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you just filled in from tip to tip, filled that part in, so it was just a shape that was kind of like a super rudimentary wing of some sort. So it was flat on one side, and then it went up into like a point on the other side. If that makes sense.
Okay. So not kind of like a not an isosceles triangle,
Not an isosceles triangle,
but not a not a perfect triangle.
Not a perfect triangle. No,
So
and
it's
I would
a
say,
triangle that has 3 different length sides.
Yeah, and I would
is what I'm saying.
yes. Okay, yes. It's definitely not. It does have different lengths. So it's longer than it is tall, and the actual point of it is not pointy. It's almost
Kind
almost
of a round,
rounded.
a curvature.
Yeah, almost round. It's like if you straightened out a
Almost like a
croissant
mound. Okay.
or something like that. Like it's a weird shape. It's not an aerodynamic shape. I don't believe. It's not even a cool looking shape.
Almost like you're looking at a hill,
Yeah.
a soft hill.
If you looked at a very soft hill and just chopped it off there, that's what it looked like. But there were 3 segments to it. So 2 end segments and a middle segment. So there was like kind of like a break in the.
So it was. Oh, okay. So we're talking about things that are not connected, but seemingly would fit together potentially.
But it looked connected and functioned connected.
Oh, but it did.
But,
Okay.
but it's almost like it glowed. Okay, so it was glowing like an orangey kind of glow, like a light of glow. But it was big lights. You know what I mean? It wasn't like little lights. There's 3 different lights, and then you squint, and I could tell that's just a little point of light. It was the whole thing was lit up. but in 3 different spots. So it's kind of like if this misshapen croissant all glowed, it's like somebody put electrical tape 2 strips of it. So then there was a middle segment and a left and a right. That was flying up in the air. It's one of those things where, and I don't know how people know this, but you look at something and you're like, oh, that's really high up, but that's going way too fast. It was one of those things. It was very high up.
Well, I think I have just now come up with the answer to that question.
Oh, wonderful.
As soon as you asked it.
Swamp gas.
Did you say swamp gas?
Yeah, swamp gas.
Because you, as a person, have been unwittingly witnessing airplanes, helicopters, other things flying in the sky your whole life.
Yeah.
So you have a data set of experience and memory, even if it's not focus A.
Got it.
Even if it's not the main storyline in your day, it's the B story, the C story, maybe, right? It's happening in the background.
Yeah.
And so when you see something that makes you want to say that, it's because you have all of this data that you've accumulated through a lifetime of like, I've never seen anything do this, what this is doing.
Got it. That makes sense. Yeah, this is not like, oh, it's like seeing a blue leaf. You're like,
which
what
makes me
doing?
believe you don't have to be some kind of aviation expert or,
It looked
aeronautical engineer to be able to be like, no, you can't say that unless you're...
yeah, unless you did real airplane science. Yeah, it looked out of place, not just because of its appearance, but the way it was flying. And it wasn't even, it was going fast. It seemed up there. And then by the time we all like audibly like said like, are you seeing that? What is it? Commenting on it, it made a sharp turn to the right, disappeared. Right to me. Yeah. Gone. And it was like,
Which
crazy.
direction was it traveling before it made a sharp turn right, just for the visual image?
If I'm not mistaken, it's so funny. I'm so directionally stupid, but I know the answer to this. It looked like it was heading south.
Or, I mean, just up or to the left or like up, down?
Not up. I mean, maybe it's gone up. It could have, it looked just right and then gone.
Okay, so it was initially traveling and it's up or down.
It was all sideways.
So it was going left. And then you said, oh my God, what is that? And then
it was like it was going straight and then made a quick right and then disappeared.
Okay.
Am I making sense?
Like, what I'm trying to figure out here is, it's me. I'm seeing this thing flying across the sky.
Mm-hmm.
It's going up, down, left, or right. Okay. And then it makes a right.
Yeah.
But which direction was it going before? And then it took a right. Which, like, do you remember?
Yeah. So if I'm looking at it in here, and this is not great not only is this not great because it's an audio form, but no one's using my eyes right now.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I know what's going on.
Well, I'm going to watch your hand.
Okay, great. So
I'll describe it.
It was like going. So that's. Here we go. Look, I'm making the hang loose symbol with my hand, right? It's going this way,
UFO.
Very fast, and then.
Oh, okay. So it was kind of going up and to the right a little bit,
and
then it went like dropped off and bolted down to the right.
Yes,
in a drastic way.
But I wasn't my brain, my memory didn't work in 3 dimensions there. So
what's interesting too is about this. One of the interesting parts of this is it's a combination of everyone having the awareness and simultaneously chiming in, which speaks to a potential, a sentience and a connection to awareness of the people who are observing it.
Okay.
Because as soon as you all said, oh my God, what the fuck is that? Then it takes off. As if it heard you say.
It did see, yeah. I mean, in our minds, we're like, did it somehow hear us?
Yeah. Oh, you actually said that
in
the moment.
And then, because then we paranoidly thought there was like a black car that drove by and parked on the road, on like the side street. And we were like, oh,
did anyone ever get out of the car?
No. But
they
didn't? It was just a car.
But,
I mean, I don't know.
But so.
It was like a black, it looked like your typical like.
But it's weird when people don't get out of a car once they park.
You're right. Yeah,
unless
you're
they're
right.
teenagers making out or something. But that doesn't sound like a teenager car.
No, and I guess nobody did get out. We were all freaked out, and we all were hiding in the house at that point, because that's after. Yeah, that's funny.
But I mean, the black car is it's very coincidental.
Yes.
Then at parking, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no big deal. Cars park. They're not in motion constantly. This is the movie fucking Speed.
Yeah.
Right, and that was a bus.
That's true. Which
But then nobody gets out of the car.
Nobody gets out of it. I mean, they honestly
Now that
I'm remembering it, we saw the car park and we flattened ourselves against the roof, and then we all quietly got off the roof.
So they could have gotten
inside
out of the car,
and then hid inside looking at the car, and then
someone could have gotten.
Someone could have gotten out of the car.
And likely did.
It likely did.
Not get out of the car.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh god. Oh god. They're still following me to this day.
Well, I mean, it's not. I mean, I know for a fact, and I say that without being able to present the fact.
I love that.
Other than a firsthand account.
Yeah.
I know, according to firsthand testimony, Men in Black are around here, and because of Wright Pat Air Force Base, and people have had encounters with them on the Air Force Base.
Oh,
they've walked right out of the NSA building, out at Wright Pat.
And we're not talking about we're a division of the super secret alien police, Men in Black. We're talking about the Keel Men in Black, the ones with weird tubes coming out of their hands and stuff like that, right?
Well,
the lipsticky ones, the gross,
the ones that are and then see, I'm trying to. This interview I had, it was upwards of 6 or 7 years ago now, probably. So now I'm but I have the book 50 Shades of Grays, which he wrote, which is an amazing title.
Why aren't these things taken seriously?
Why can't I remember his name right now? But he was a contractor and worked at Wright Pat for 30 years.
Oh, okay.
And had 2 encounters with the Men in Black.
Oh my god.
And everything he wrote in his book was cleared by the government and the Air Force.
Okay.
That he was able to write, even talking about these encounters on the base, Air Force Base.
Okay.
And then also have the black SUVs.
Yeah.
Subsequently following and that kind of stuff. But so I'm not surprised at the appearance of a potential Men in Black sighting, even though, that's why I was pulling that thread a little bit. Did anybody get out of the car? It's not the craziest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah. Because clearly they operate around here.
Yeah.
According to people. I've never had an encounter with a Men in Black.
Neither have I. I don't know. I've never seen anybody that looked super weird.
Yeah. So, I'm not necessarily certain I'd want to.
Oh, I
would. It'd be hard to pass up.
I want every last thing to happen so I can be like, oh my god, because as a true agnostic, can I tell you, Ryan, it's a maddening existence. It's so bad because I can't even be like an atheist and look at my atheist blogs and listen to whatever, Bill Maher and be like, see, God, you don't exist because all these people say, I can't do that. And I can't be like, oh yeah, God's cool. He's got me in his little pocket. No, it's just pure fright and being like, I have no idea.
In the Bible, in the heretical Christian Bible, I should say. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
In the Bible, there's some verse about, I forget what God is, or somebody is saying something to Paul or Peter or one of those P names, probably. God would rather have you for him or against him, because if you're lukewarm, he'll spit you out.
Yeah, cool.
But God either wants an iced coffee or a hot latte. He doesn't want none of this fucking room temperature stuff. Okay.
Well, me sorry, God.
Yeah,
do better.
He either
next
wants
time.
to be like, come to heaven or go to hell. None of this. Oh, now you're making me think about it. Maybe that's the whole problem.
I guess
God
you're
doesn't
right.
want to think about it.
I get that. Then you know what? Don't give us free will, idiot. You know what I mean? You're so stupid. See, a lightning bolt you right now, we would know.
Right. So
anyway,
I do think that's an interesting thing you bring up, though. That you wish life in some way could be easier if it was one way or the other, right?
Something. Even if it was making me alienate everyone I knew by being like, no, you have to understand, Puckwudgie's real. He lives in my head. And you know what I mean? If I believed it, at least it's something to hold on to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, some would argue that not having something to hold on to is something to hold on to.
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
But what's interesting too is because you're clearly open to and
Sure.
dare I say wanting of a paranormal experience, which isn't going to validate God or anything like that. But I mean, I guess if we're looking at the universe in a bigger way to try to ascribe meaning or try to understand or infer meaning from the madness and the chaos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe. I mean, I 100% believe we're part of a large intergalactic neighborhood, whether we realize it or not. Just because we've been locked in the basement doesn't mean that our house isn't on a block filled with 1,000 other houses.
Mm-hmm.
And people are slowly but surely starting to be like, but is that a window that looks like there's something else out there? You know, now that the government said that aliens are real, I think that maybe aliens might be real.
It's definitely making it a little more easy. You're not being ostracized for your family by saying you were abducted or that you saw,
I just wish we could get past this whole alien UFO thing and everybody could move on from that and just accept it as real. And then we can get to shapeshifters. And so everyone who's ever called me a fucking crazy person can have their supper. You know what I mean?
I do.
So that's, for me, I'm just like, TikTok over here. The aliens is the easy stuff, right?
But like, okay. So the only thing I think it's I don't know if it's technically high strangeness. My terms are off, Ryan. I'm not steeped.
High strangeness is a very big net.
Okay, then maybe I'm on the right track. So my whole thing is all of it is real, quote air quotes, because it's all interdimensional. Like the veil is thin tonight, me buckos, and we're seeing a Bigfoot or a Mothman or a UFO man or a ghost or a Pukwudgie, because they are things from the other side. And so maybe our dumb little universe is just dumb old Earth, and there is no other aliens to say they're Star Trek in their way over here, but there is another reality.
Just layered.
Yeah, it's just layered, and
stacked.
And there's certain things happen where they start bleeding through. That's the only thing where I'm like, okay, cool, I'll accept that.
Well, yeah, and that's when you can start getting into portals,
Yeah.
and I think which is different than a wormhole.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's funny because I've just loved portals for so long.
They're a great concept.
And mainstream now, it seems like every paranormal show now has a portal, which is probably should have had a portal since the beginning, right? It's almost like all these paranormal shows are now talking about portals, because they've been pushed by the underground community who's been talking about portals for a long time.
Yeah,
not worried about being called crazy.
Sure.
And so now they're incorporating portals into their storylines, whether it's like Skinwalker Ranch or even Expedition Bigfoot or things like that. But it's almost like cooking shows finally started using an oven.
Yeah.
When portals are probably the thing the whole time.
Yeah.
That were the foundational aspect of the phenomena, right? And I don't know. I like to think that they're sentient.
The portals.
The portals are sentient. Yes.
So, the portals are sentient.
That's
or
what
what's
I'm trying to
making
put.
the
I'm trying to
portals
push that out there. I'm trying to push out.
Okay.
That portals themselves are
Are
sentient.
Fascinating.
There's an intelligence and an awareness and even a consciousness to the portals themselves. They're not just doorways that have been built by other things.
So riddle me this, Ryan. Would it be sentience in the individual portals themselves? Or
Yes.
is the membrane that contains our bubble of reality between the other one, is that itself two different entities with their own sentience, and that they are syncing up with each other to be like, yeah, let's kiss here. Let's merge. Uh-oh, Bigfoot. Uh-oh,
Ooh.
who knows what you're looking at over on you just saw Phil Donahue over there on the other side. Wowie zowie. Which I guess it's a very dated reference. We were talking about Dayton earlier. He's a ghost now. But you get my point, right? Oh, I just saw Popeye's chicken.
Well,
on
that's
the other
interesting.
side.
I would
That's
say yes
haunting.
to everything, but
Right?
just because I don't know the answer. But
Me neither.
the that's interesting. I haven't thought about one on each side.
Mm-hmm.
That there has to be a portal on each side. I guess I was kind of thinking that the portals themselves were transdimensional. I suppose,
Yeah.
if that's the right word. But that is a bridge into itself, and it can create and could potentially create a portal to multiple different dimensions
Sure.
simultaneously, or maybe just one at a time, whatever else. It's a real get out of jail free card for paranormal believers or those of us interested in high strangeness to explain everything without having an answer, right? And so I am glad that the TV shows are finally incorporating them because it probably maddens so many people like Neil deGrasse Tyson, and the madder he can get, the happier I become. But I really need to release my Neil deGrasse Tyson.
You know what?
Thing,
I don't. He bothers me too. I think it's because he's such a shitty dresser. He's so rich.
He's
He
just
dresses
such
like
an
shit.
asshole. He's just
smug
such an
too.
asshole.
Yeah, he's smug.
But and so he's just. I swear to God, he's just an asshole. But I got to stop hating on him because if I met him, I'd probably love him if I met him.
Yeah.
He's probably charming. He's obviously intelligent.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we know. He tells us.
Yeah, and so, but I would probably love the guy.
Yeah.
If I met him, and I'd have to come on here and be like, those 400 times that I talk shit on a guy I don't know.
Yeah.
For no real good reason, other than I'm just being an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to. I'm going to apologize in advance right now. Actually,
that's really nice
for that. So
I'm not. I'm keeping my blood
open call to Neil deGrasse Tyson to come on the Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yes.
To Dr. Tyson wants to come on the show. I'd be more than happy to have him on the show, and ask him why he's such an asshole. I mean,
I think he would appreciate that question.
I think he would.
Yeah.
I think he would appreciate that question. Okay, let's get back on track.
Yes.
So I like this idea that, we all want something, right, to believe in. And, whether we want to admit it or not, I think most of us need something to believe in, even if it's something very small and basic and simple, or it could be big and grand. And with the death of religion in so many people's minds, they're searching for other things to give life meaning. There's this great book called The Death of Forever, which talks about, the birth of the ego, creating mortality. Because before we were aware of ourselves, we weren't aware of our own death. To sit and think about I'm going to die. All of this will be over.
Terrorize their poor
and
babies.
And then as soon as we realize I'm a thing, separate from everything, allegedly.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm going to die, and then I won't be able to think about how someday I'm going to die? What does this all mean?
Yeah.
God is created.
Yes.
To give meaning, the afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
So we won't die.
Because we can't conceive.
Because we die, but we live on.
Yeah, because we can't conceive
so
of
we don't really
not
die.
Existing. Because how do we know? But then what did we know before we were?
Exactly.
It's fucking, I hate it
so
much.
As soon as the ego was born,
yeah,
God was born.
Yeah.
Or the need for God.
Yes.
And now that God is dying for so many people, what is that replaced with? And throw in the undercurrent of the very real threat to our existence of climate change.
Yeah.
And which I believe is, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a sociologist, but if I had to guess, I would say climate change being the undercurrent of the impending doom of climate change has a huge impact on the mentality and the outlook of everyone that's alive, whether we realize it or not. And
COVID didn't help either.
No, exactly.
It's a little push of look how poorly we're handling a very real crisis that needs something to be done right now, and how everyone fucking beefed it. And now we're like, oh, cool, we're just slow beefing it with climate change. Neat. Because no one has our back. We're not supported by anything.
And it's I don't know what it is about the human creature, but they're because if you go, there's these I wish I could remember the name of the podcast, but these people do deep dives on the very beginning of vaccines, back in the day, and it's all the same arguments against the COVID vaccine that were against the polio vaccine, and everything else, right, or smallpox or whatever, and it's all the same exact fucking arguments, dude.
Yep.
And it's just oh wow, we don't learn from our mistakes and
No.
learn from the past, and we keep repeating the same things, and and then here we are. And then I do think that subconsciously climate change has been, turning everyone's mind slightly. The dial of everyone's mind has become darker and darker in the last 10 years, and people don't even realize it, that they've become so pessimistic or so antagonistic. People are ready to snap quicker now.
Yep.
And then you throw in like social media and all these other things that are, maybe exacerbated a little bit. But and until that issue is, because that's the foundation of Maslow's hierarchy of needs on a global scale.
Yeah, you're right.
And so for me, it was like Bernie Sanders is going to save us.
Yeah.
And then when he wasn't able to be the one who saved us, other people thought Trump was going to be the one who saved them.
Yeah.
And then he didn't do that. And now it's like, I'm putting all my money, I'm moving all my money into the alien box on the roulette wheel.
Yeah.
The aliens need to come and save us.
Sure.
Because we need a savior, because we don't want to take responsibility, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that's the reason why so many people think aliens are real right now. I think aliens have become real to people because they finally listened to so many of these people who have talked about their experiences with them.
Yeah. And probably had sympathy for them being ostracized by people for telling their story. I think that has that's a thing that anyone can relate to, where it's like, oh, just because you believe something and you're going to be, because back in the day, like back just in the 90s, if you told people that you saw aliens, you're just like, okay, well, goodbye, see you later,
Yeah, and none of us like to have our beliefs challenged.
Yeah.
I get that. I'm the same way. I can be a bastard when that happens.
Yeah.
And so I guess it's that. When people are being like, no, I saw an alien, everyone's like, don't challenge my beliefs. Don't make me redefine my whole my whole paradigm has to shift now.
Oh yeah, because their church is telling them the dinosaur bones are tricks by Satan. You know what I mean? Hell, heaven forbid aliens exist. That's a whole lot of explaining to do. You know what I mean?
That's a whole lot of explaining to do.
That's
a whole lot of explaining to do.
The Pope said that. Francis and Benedict.
Well, that's a whole lot of explaining to do.
They both said that. That's both of their catchphrases. They started. I mean, Benedict started it, but it was
okay. So let me ask you this:
yeah,
you've had multiple experiences.
Yeah.
Yet you sit here tonight.
Oh yeah, baby.
And you say, "I just want to have an experience."
But like
what? How? But like you were getting ready to say it.
Yeah.
But like a real one.
But like a real one, a one where I'm like full. Like I mean, like the entirety of the film. E.T., the extraterrestrial. I want this fucking thing to drink my beer and to sleep in my bed, and I want to find it in the ditch and feel really bad for it. He's so sick, and I want to help him do whatever he needs. Whatever it is, it could be anything. It could be a Medusa. It could be an alien. It could be a little fairy. I'd be into it. Oh, fairies would be so. That's the one thing I would love. Of all the things, fairies would be the coolest fucking thing to be around. Because they have magic. Anyway, I want that. I want that to happen. But I want it to be like I'm staring at it, touching it. It's here for a while. Not
you
a
want it to
fleeting
be
moment.
like you want it to be. Well, what can we call this?
Something I can't second guess or explain away.
Something that can never be refuted by yourself.
Yes, even if no one else. Even if it's just even if it's one of those things where like I go to a pawn shop and I find an old locket of a lady and I'm really drawn to it and I pick up the locket and I wear it around. Then, a mugger tries to shoot me and the ghost lady comes out and deflects the bullet, but he can't see her, but I can, and then we end up becoming a crime-fighting duo together. Even if it's something
so
simple like that, even if. It's like that.
Okay, you're not asking for a lot.
I'm not asking for a lot.
But you are asking to put yourself in harm's way.
I mean, yeah, but you have to have a.
But you have to have a. You got
to get the readers hooked.
Yeah, to get the
that's
readers
how they
hooked.
do it. But
so
no,
you want a profound.
I want a
profound level 1 experience, or whatever we want to call it.
And what I want to talk to, I want to communicate with whatever it is. I want to. Again, I want it to not just blip out of existence. To me, being like, what did I see? You know what I mean?
So if you got a phone call,
yeah,
from an intelligence of some kind,
okay,
speaking, and maybe they sounded a little bit different, like, just auto bingo. And then they start telling you things that no one in the world knows about you.
Okay.
Except you.
Okay.
You have 7 lollipops in drawer. 3 apple, 2 cherry, 1 pineapple. Never will eat. Right? Or whatever it is.
Yeah, okay. As long as it was things that I couldn't just be like, oh, did somebody get a key to my thing and look at my stuff? It was deep personal things about me that I've never told anybody, or mole placement that no one's going to pay attention to. Maybe that could work. But yeah. So yes, go on.
So I'm just trying to figure out how many degrees of separation away from you sitting on a couch with an alien we could get for you to be like, that was a profound experience.
It would have to be. It wouldn't be a phone call. There's no way.
Couldn't be a phone call.
Any of that could be explained away. Because memory is such a shoddy, weird, dumb thing that I could be like, well, maybe I did tell someone about my lollipop drawer. Like, yeah, who knows? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I've been around 43 years on this dumb idiot planet, and I've talked a lot.
You've talked a lot.
You know what I mean?
And everybody's been taking notes, Bingo.
Everybody. You would believe the files they have on me. A lot of files.
Well, that's interesting. I think for different people, obviously, they'll need different levels of experience to become what I consider myself to be a true believer. And even true believers have moments of periods of, oh, God, am I batshit?
Sure.
But, and I'll tell you, even when you're a true believer, you still got to just eat, sleep, and poop. You know what I mean? Like, the world doesn't change all that much.
Sure.
And that's why I have such great hope for the future, because everyone's like, well, there's going to be mass hysteria. And it's like, well, is that just a narrative you've been told by movies and television that you've bought into?
Yeah.
Because because the whole purpose of making a television show or a movie is having a dramatic moment.
Sure.
So if aliens show up and everybody in the world was just like, oh, that's cool, we knew you were real, and then life just goes on, ho hum, that's not entertaining.
No.
Right? I don't think that the movies have been trying to train us to freak out, right?
Sure.
Hollywood and the cabal have been training us to have hysteria. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
So we're just talking about storytelling here, right? In that aspect. But people believe storytelling. And, I mean, there's a power to storytelling, obviously, and many stories are true.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. But the fact that I've had crazy experiences, lots of people have. People have all kinds of experiences, and then they incorporate them into the folder of, might be something, might not be something, like yours.
Yeah.
And guess what? Life goes on.
Yep.
And it's ho hum. I mean, I don't mean like it sucks necessarily as much as it's just like we incorporate and we move on and we still eat, sleep, and poop.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how many times you saw a woman shapeshift. Sometimes you still need a nap.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier, where if you go through a car accident or burning down a garage, you're like, oh, God, well, better get some shut-eye.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Because you still have to.
Exactly. Well, it is my hope for you that you find the experience that you want.
Thank you.
You know, and having said that, I have someone I'd like you to meet.
Oh my
Let's
God.
Open the door.
Oh, my God.
Wouldn't it be great if I had such a power?
That would be great. And
That
I'd
would
be
be
like,
so great.
oh, my God.
Well, there are a couple places I think we should go here around town. And
all right.
there might be some weird stuff that happens.
Sure. I'm into it.
Maybe you should pop into Poasttown on the 25th just for like an hour and see if anything weird happens to you there.
I would love to.
Because I'll probably be there from roughly 4:00 until 4:00.
Okay. Sweet. I'll bring you
Probably
some
a 4
Sour
to
Patch
4
Kids.
kind of thing. Yeah. So, okay. Well, yeah, we'll figure that. Well, Bingo, this has been great.
Yeah, it's been wonderful.
Let's plug the show.
Yeah, I do a podcast. It's a live streaming comedy podcast. I have live callers. I have people chatting in. It is live on Twitch on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. The name of the show is Halfway Okay. HALFWAY OKAY. It's that way on the social medias, on YouTube, all the podcasting services. I have a beautiful little puppet. He's very sweet. It's a very nice show. Yeah.
It's a very nice show. Halfway Okay. It's a very nice show.
That's it.
Yeah, well, we're talking about some other things too that we're trying to work on.
Yeah.
over here in the very near future.
Yes.
So I'll keep listeners posted about all that good stuff. But oh yeah, and I was like, oh, I should just do a 4 or 5 nights a week. I just do a live paranormal show.
You should.
Late at night. And I was just like, that's such a commitment and a thing. And I was like, I have to have a place to live before I do that. Maybe.
Oh, yeah, it would help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, are there any vacancies in this building?
No, not right now. One just filled up like a month ago.
Yeah. I wonder if it's in my price range.
Under
$200?
Yep. Sure is. No, it's alarmingly expensive for what it is, and it's very upsetting to me. So
yeah.
really
Okay.
Good. Yeah. It's great. It's really good.
You're thrilled about it.
Yeah.
Well, Bingo, this has been fun.
Yeah.
I
Man.
do think I'm going to say this on the show. I'm going to say this on the program. So for God and everyone to hear.
He listens.
Yeah, well, Odin sometimes tunes in. Zeus is kind of over it. Zeus checked out after episode 200. I started talking shit about Zeus.
Oh, yeah. He's very vain.
Odin's still around.
Good.
Anyway, a couple other lower levels.
Yeah.
Anyway, something profound, paranormal, will happen to you by 10/10 next year. Because today's 10/10.
Today's 10/10.
So by 10/10/24, something you're gonna have a big one.
Okay.
Is it going to be the granddaddy of all? I'm not so sure about that, but it's going to be a big one.
Okay.
And I'm going to make sure that happens.
Okay.
Even if I have to get plastic surgery.
Oh. Okay, cool, man. Thank you for that. I like that, actually.
Just to try to make one more believer.
You know, I honestly, I would believe in friendship.
Yeah, okay. Which is what this whole thing's been about.
Yeah.
That's what the aliens are just like, hey, man, just looking for somebody to hang out with.
Right. Just looking to bro out,
You know
man.
how far I drove, man? I mean, I even brought beer.
Yeah, right. Let's watch the new girl. Let's hang out. Schmidt's awesome.
Bingo, this has been great. Also, to the listeners, thank you for listening. Patreon.com/Ryan Singer, the commercial-free stuff. October 25th, live stream from Poasttown Elementary School. That place is bonkers, and I can't wait to go back. It's been, I don't know, I don't think it's been a year. Has it been a year since I've been investigating in there? It's been a minute, but it's gonna be fun to go back in there. I've been there a bunch. Crazy stuff happens there every time I'm there, so looking forward to it. And so Rysing on Instagram at RYSING. Anyway, I hope to see you. I don't know. I'm not doing any live shows anytime soon, so I'll see you at I'll see you on the podscape, or at the watering hole on the astral plane.
I love that.
The podscape.